Greetings again. Lesson 2. Today we continue from where we left. In lesson number 1, we saw there are many verb forms. The basic among them being the first 3 forms. Present form, past form, past participle form. And if you did your homework faithfully, you must have read them in your book. You have the 3 forms printed out there for a number of verbs. By now, they are committed to memory. Now, a few details about these. I am writing the same form there. Okay, and here we had it present form, past participle form, ing form, and infinitive form. Let us take a simple verb. For example, walk. Present, past, otherwise called third form of the verb, and then here we call ing form, and here you had infinitive. Right. Now let us take the verb walk. It is a regular verb, and therefore its past tense will be made by adding ed at the end of it. Walked. Walked. Its past participle again is walked. Its ing form, walking. Its infinitive form, to walk. This much has become clear to you. Now let me give a little detail. Listen very carefully. The present form and the past form, I am putting a line over there, a second line as you can see, to divide it, to separate it from the rest of them. Past participle walked, it tells no time. In other words, it will need the help of a helping verb to tell you the time in a given sentence. Similarly, the ing form, it will not tell you the time. You need a helping verb to tell you the time. Similarly, the infinitive, you need another verb to tell you the time. And therefore, these 3 this side are called non-finites. In your grammar books, you must have learned about them as participle, gerund, and infinitive. Participle, gerund, and infinitive. The details about them we shall see later. All that you need to remember now is that they by themselves don't tell you the time. To give you the time of that action in any given sentence, you need a helping verb to go along with it. Let me give an example. She has walked a mile. Has walked. The helping verb is has. She is walking now. The helping verb here is that tells you the time now. She likes to play. The verb likes will tell you the time for her to play. She likes to play. Like is another verb that is required to give you the time effect. Now, come to this side. Here, you don't need any helping verb. The word by itself can give you the time. For example, I walk. You got the full meaning and the time. Right now, present. And yesterday, I walked. I walked yesterday. And here again, the word walked all by itself tells the time. They don't need any helping verb. When they don't need any helping verb, they are complete by themselves. You call it finites. So you got two finites. They don't need any help to tell you the time. Whereas the non-finites, which you have learned in your lower classes as participle, gerund and infinitive, they need a helping verb. Another thing about this. These are all action verbs. When I say walking, you're talking, you know the action I'm talking about. But the word is, or the word has, or the word will, which we talked in the previous lesson, they don't tell you an action. And therefore, we will call them helping verb as I told you. And they can be classified into three groups. The first one, I call it B group. I am putting it here. B group verbs. Taken together they are called B group. Which are they? The very word be, the word am, the word is, the word are, all these belong to B group, and all of them are present tense, present form. They can give time by themselves. Now we can the past tense. The past tense of be is was. So also past tense of am is was. So also past tense of is was. And the past tense of are is were. Right? They don't tell of an action, but they tell more of the time, that it is past. Now we come to the other side. The past participle of any of these words, any of these, is been. So been is past participle for any B group verb. Similarly, being is the ing form of any B group verb. And to be is the infinitive form of a B group verb. So all these taken together we call B group verbs. They are very important, remember. To make a past participle into passive form, you need this B group verb. For example, in the example we wrote down, in yesterday's lesson, in the previous lesson, we said was killed. The rat was killed. We use was to give you the time sense. Without was, the past participle killed cannot give a time. So for passive voice, you need be group verb. In the very first sentence, I am teaching English. And teaching. We use the word and. Without the word and, the ing form cannot give you a verb, a complete meaning. So now it is very clear to you that the be group verbs are very important. They help you to make tense. Similarly, there is another group which you are familiar with, but you may not have learnt this particular name. And that is have group verbs. Have group. We use them. Has is a word. Have is the word. Has and have both are present form. And the past form of the same, whether it is has or have, is had. Similarly, past participle is same, had. And ing form is having and known. Having. And the infinitive form is to have. You can look at the word, the whole lot of them together is called have group. And how are they used? For example, when I say she has walked a mile, has walked a mile, I am using a perfect tense. I cannot make a perfect tense without this. So it is helping to make a past participle into a complete verb. She has walked a mile. Similarly, we have talked the last 15 minutes. Have talked. Talked here is the past participle. And it is made into a perfect tense with the help of the word have talked. And this is how a perfect tense is made. So that is called have group verbs. Now we are left with one more group of helping verbs. This group, you already know, like will, shall. Even though some of these words, I am not telling all, some of these words can be used in all the 5 forms that we wrote down. We don't actually use them in English language. We use them only in 2 forms. Therefore, we straight away divide into 2. Present form and their corresponding past form. Present form, past form. And the words are, and the verbs are. For example, you say shall. And the corresponding past is should. We say will. The corresponding past is would. We say can. The corresponding past is could. we say may. The corresponding past is might. We say must. The corresponding past is must. Similarly, there is the word ought, and the corresponding past is ought. No change. We already talked about do, did. Do can also be used in this set of helping verbs, and its past form would be did. This whole group we call modals. So now I am writing the topic M-O-D-A-L-S, modals. They are called modals. Some grammar books will call you auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verb, modals all mean the same thing. They are called modals because they give some extra meaning to the given verb. She will be a nurse next year. A nurse will be. So the will tells not this year, not now, but next year. It gives future time, future meaning. You shall attend the classes. When I say shall attend, the word shall tells you a meaning of compulsory. You shall attend classes. Similarly, if I say I can swim, when I say I can swim, I am talking about my ability. If I am thrown in the water, I know how to come out. My ability to swim. It may rain today. When I say it may rain, I am expressing a doubt. It may not equally rain. When I say you must learn, I say again the necessity. You must learn. Without learning, you cannot go to the next class, next lesson. You must learn. You ought to obey your parents. You listen to your parents. You ought to. Meaning thereby, you have something inside you telling, I need to listen to my parents. This way, every one of them will give some special meaning to the word. You have heard about direct and reported speech. In your class 10 maybe, class 9 maybe, or even in class 12. Direct and indirect speech. Some call it direct and reported speech, whatever. There you must have learned a sentence can be spoken in direct speech, or it can also be reported. When you report, every form of these will be changed in their corresponding past form. She will come tomorrow. We'll change it into she would come the next day. Now the will became would, and that's why I say these models are used mostly only in two forms, present form and past form. Please, I am not talking about present tense or past tense. This is actually future tense. But they have two forms. In direct speech, you use the present form. In reported speech, you use the past form. This is not all about verbs. There is much more to go. You must have heard in your lower classes words like transitive verb, intransitive verb. And how do we know about it? How do we, in a given sentence, identify whether the given verb is transitive or intransitive? That will take you to another idea, which even you learned in your primary classes. Subject, predicate. So, any given verb takes a subject, and verb is part of the predicate. And if it is a verb, and if it is a transitive verb, it will take an object. Therefore, you got three words: subject, verb, object. And we must be able to identify them too. And that we shall do in the next class.